Alright, so today I want to show you some ball python combinations that contain 2 or more dark genes. And there's actually 2 different ways you can go. You can actually go for the bright and flashy snakes using genes like the orange dream, the pastel, or the yellow belly. Or you could go to the dark side using some of the dark genes. And I'd say a lot of people, what they do is they're like, alright, I want to buy a dark gene such as the DJI, and they look for other genes to mix into the DJI to make some really impressive dark combinations. But another approach you can actually do is to take a dark gene and actually add another dark gene and have 2 or more dark genes in the same combination. And let me tell you, you can make some pretty amazing combinations using 2 or more dark genes. So today I want to jump over the internet and I want to show you some breathtaking combinations that use 2 or more dark ball python genes. Alright, so I'm going to jump over here on Morphmarket.com and I want to show you some of these ball pythons that contain 2 or more dark genes. And I'll have to admit, I actually came over here and I was kind of poking around in all the different combinations with the dark genes just out of curiosity, and I didn't really have, pretty much have never seen any of these snakes before, and I was pretty blown away as far as what I actually saw over here with some of these combinations. And the first one I want to show you is this one. This is kind of a crazy looking snake. This is actually the combination of the cinnamon, the lesser, and the leopard. So there's actually 2 dark genes in this combination. The cinnamon is a dark gene and the leopard is a dark gene. Sometimes the cinnamon can be pretty variable. Sometimes the cinnamons can be kind of a reddish brown, and sometimes it can be like almost like a jet black. It's really variable for the cinnamon. And kind of the interesting thing about this is you actually see a really strong stripe right down the top of the snake. And what that's actually coming from, that's the combination of the lesser and the leopard together. And it's kind of interesting with the lesser leopard. I'd say about 50% of the time you'll actually get really strong striping like this, and about 50% of the time you won't get any stripes at all. So sometimes I'd say if you actually take this and breed it to something else and reproduce it, you may or may not get the really strong striping down the top of the snake, which is kind of interesting. And look at how jet black the background is on this. Pretty amazing. And it's really black. That's from the combination of the cinnamon and the leopard, making a really jet black background. It's almost looks like kind of like an axanthic look to this snake. It's kind of an interesting appearance. So here's another one that I thought was pretty amazing. Take a look at this. This is actually the combination of the black pastel, the leopard, and the yellow belly. So the 2 dark genes in this one is the black pastel and the leopard. And the leopard can really jumble up the pattern, and the leopard's a dark gene. It can really darken the background. And then when you add black pastel to the leopard, essentially what that does is it really darkens the background even more. And the black pastel, and a lot of your black pastel combinations, you'll actually see kind of this wiped out pattern on the side. It almost looks like links of a chain or something. I'd say that's pretty common for a lot of your black pastel combinations. And then when you add the yellow belly, a lot of times when you add yellow belly to a lot of these double dark combinations, you'll actually see that it really enhances the brightness of the lighter colors on the snake. So you can actually see how bright the yellow is, and it has a really strong contrast between the yellows and the darks, and the yellow belly really makes it pop. Pretty amazing combination. So take a look at this thing. I thought this was pretty interesting. This is actually a DJI leopard. So both of them are dark genes. And essentially what this looks like, it looks really similar to a DJI, although the leopard kind of scrambles up the pattern a little bit more, and then the leopard really darkens the background, and you get this really strong contrast between the lights and the darks. Pretty amazing. I actually added one more gene to this combination. Take a look at this. If you actually take the DJI leopard and you add the Mojave to it, look at what the Mojave does to the DJI leopard. This is one of the most amazing snakes. I could say I've never seen a snake that even looks close to this. Look at how jet black the background is on this. Pretty amazing, and it's really strong as far as the difference between, you know, the contrast between the lights and the darks on this. As a matter of fact, if you actually added yellow belly to this, you could probably even make it pop even more. That's an amazing combination. So here's another one that I thought was pretty interesting. This is the combination of the DJI, the black pastel, and the yellow belly. So I found in a lot of your DJI combinations, usually when I think of DJI, I'm always thinking of the DJI Mojave, which looks kind of similar to this, which is kind of interesting. I found a lot of times when you add DJI to a lot of these combinations with 2 dark genes, a lot of times it'll bring all the pattern to the top of the snake, and then when you add yellow belly, you get this really strong strong contrast, and it really makes it pop, really brightens up the bright spots on top of the snake. And it's a pretty amazing combination. A lot of times with your GHIs and a lot of these combinations, it'll also wipe out a lot of the pattern on the side of the snake, which is pretty interesting. So this one's pretty interesting. Take a look at this. This is actually the Pastel Leopard Mystic. So you may not be aware that the Mystic actually acts as a dark gene, although I think a lot of people don't realize that the Mystic can really darken combinations. Usually when you think of a Mystic, it's actually, the Mystic is in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. So if you actually took a Mystic and you bred it to a bamboo, you would actually get an all-white snake with blue eyes. Or if you took the Mystic and you mixed it with the Mojave, you would get the Mystic Potion, which is kind of a purplish thing. But if you look at the Mystic just by itself, it's a pretty dark gene, and if you actually add it to a lot of combinations, it really darkens it. So the dark genes in this one would be the Mystic and the Leopard, really darkening it, and then the Pastel really enhances the color. I think in a lot of these combinations, it's always good to have, you know, a bright color on top of a really black snake, and it really makes it stand out. So here is the GHI Mystic just by itself. So this is kind of interesting. You see on a lot of these GHI combinations, a lot of times it'll bring most of the bright color to the top, up here on the top of the snake, and then the Mystic. It seems like on a lot of your GHIs, you really don't get this much of a line down the top of your GHIs until you add the Mystic. And it seems like it brings more color to the top, gives you a little bit more line, and the Mystic seems like it darkens it pretty much overall. Here's another one that I thought was pretty interesting with the Mystic and the Blackhead. I couldn't believe what an effect the Mystic has on the Blackhead. Look at what it did to the pattern on the side of the Blackhead. Pretty much just shattered it, which is kind of crazy. And the Blackhead is considered to be one of the darkest of the dark genes. So if you actually mix Blackhead with a lot of combinations, it'll actually darken it more than a lot of your other genes. This one, I thought this one was kind of interesting. Take a look at this. This is actually the addition of the GHI, the Leopard, and the Mystic. So this is kind of interesting. Actually, if you look back at just the GHI Leopard, this is what the GHI Leopard looks like. And then when you add the Mystic, take a look at what the Mystic does. In this case, it actually brings in a lot of white in the combination. And with the GHI, in this case, it actually brought the line all the way up to the top into a solid line. Quite an effect with the Mystic on the combination of the GHI and the Leopard. It's one of those combinations that is pretty much unexpected as far as what I would expect this combination to look like. Here's another one that I thought was pretty interesting. This is the GHI and the Cinnamon, and the more you actually look at these, the more you realize the effect of other dark genes on the GHI, bringing a lot of the color up to the top into these little spots and wiping out a lot of the color on the side. And you actually see in this one, this actually contains cinnamon. Some of the cinnamons can be kind of a reddish brown, and you can definitely tell just by looking at the snake, this is definitely the reddish brown version of the cinnamon. A really amazing combination. So take a look at this. This is actually the same snake we just looked at with the addition of the Blackhead. So the Cinnamon GHI had a little bit of pattern on the side. Then when you add Blackhead to the mix, it completely wiped out the pattern, which I thought was kind of an interesting effect. And you can definitely see on this one, you have the little bit of this reddish color from the version of the Cinnamon. I'm thinking if you had a darker version of Cinnamon, you can get it a little bit darker depending on the effect that you actually wanted. This is a pretty amazing looking snake with the combination of this is actually a combination of 3 dark genes, which is pretty awesome. So here is a pretty amazing snake. This is actually the combination of the Black Pastel and the Mahogany. If you actually are not familiar with the Mahogany, a lot of times in your Mahogany combinations, you'll get this coppery color on a lot of your Mahoganies. And then when you add the Black Pastel, the Black Pastels can actually have a lot of copper color just in the single gene Black Pastel. And then when you mix them together, you actually get this really crazy looking snake that really brings out a lot of this copper color. And look at the pattern on the side. That's just the combination of the Black Pastel working with the Mahogany to really jumble up the pattern. That's pretty amazing. So I thought this was pretty awesome. Take a look at this. This is actually the combination of the blackhead and the cinnamon. So the blackhead by itself can be really super dark. And then when you add the cinnamon to the blackhead, look at how dark it is, especially look at how black the head is on this one. That is pretty amazing. It almost looks like someone spray painted it like a really super jet black. That's kind of crazy. And then you can definitely see kind of the streaking patterns on the side from the cinnamon interacting with the blackhead. So here's the last one I wanted to show you. If you actually want to go to a completely black snake, you can actually combine the black pastel and the cinnamon. You may be familiar with this combination. This is otherwise known as the 8-ball. And this is kind of interesting too, because you can actually make a super black pastel with 2 copies of the black pastel that looks almost exactly like this. And you can do the same thing with the cinnamon, although I'm convinced that the black pastel and the cinnamon are 2 completely different genes. And if you actually look at a lot of your cinnamons, a lot of times they'll have more of a reddish brown color, and your black pastels will usually be a little bit blacker. But if you actually, a lot of people say that if you actually take the black pastel, breed it to another black pastel to make the super, sometimes you can get some duck billing or some kinking in the super black pastel or in the super cinnamon. And some people say if you want to avoid the genetic defects, you can actually make this snake, which is the 8-ball, and some people say that it actually avoids some of the genetic defects of the other 2 supers. Alright, so it's time for the question of the day. And Misha Chan asks, do you actually sell ball pythons, or do you just have a large personal collection? And that is a very good question. As a matter of fact, it might seem like I don't sell ball pythons because they sell incredibly fast. So I actually produce anywhere from about 60 to about 120 ball python hatchlings every year. And I actually post them over on Morphmarket, and they go really fast. As a matter of fact, a couple months ago, I actually posted 6 bamboos. They were actually just like Bobby here. Bobby is the grandparent to pretty much all my bamboos anymore. Bobby's just a straight bamboo with no other genes in it. I actually posted those 6 bamboos over on Morphmarket, and they all sold within 10 hours. It was kind of crazy. So right now I don't have any ball pythons. I pretty much sold them all, and I probably won't have any till midsummer of 2021, probably mid to late summer. So it's going to be quite a while before I actually have some more snakes for sale. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.